Hello, here on the Wild Sound podcast today, I am joined by Omietté Allison from the deeply powerful film Rock Island Prison. I'm really excited to I get to chat with you today because your performance stuck with me even after the film. So looking forward to digging into this film with you. But before we start chatting Rock Island Prison, I'd love to hear a little bit more about you and about you're talking about you moved to LA 4 years ago to chase your dream. What is this dream?
Thank you so much, first of all, for seeing our movie. We obviously really appreciate it. Um, I actually moved to LA for music. It wasn't acting at all. I studied music in school and I lived in Houston, and there were opportunities there, but I felt like LA was kind of the place I needed to be,
Yeah.
to pursue music. But when I graduated was mid-COVID, and that kind of like ruined a lot of opportunities for me that I already had like lined up. So I just, closed my eyes, packed my bags, moved out to LA and was like, you know what, I'll figure it out when I get there. Got here, didn't figure it out. It got really hard. Um, Things just didn't go like in any way like that I planned. And I kind of went through a sad moment, but I took one acting class in college though. And it kind of stuck with me, because when I was a kid, I loved going to the movies and just seeing how movies got people together and everything.
Mm.
So I was like, why not try acting? It's kind of in the same realm as music, it's entertainment in one form or another.
Mhm.
And I just jumped into taking some acting classes, which led to me doing some background acting, which led to me doing some student films, which led me to where I am today.
I love that journey. And I mean, it is all storytelling at the end of the day, especially with music. You're telling a story in more of a condensed way, but this is the same way. You're the vessel for the storytelling. I love that.
Definitely.
Uh, yeah, everybody, the seeking for your dream sometimes is the easy part. It's the nitty gritty of daily life and figuring out
Yeah.
how to make it happen. That's sometimes the not fun aspect of it.
It's,
But you're
it's
doing
not
it.
always fun. I'm doing it.
You're doing it. So,
Definitely.
how did this project come into your life?
So me and Joy actually worked before, the
Mm,
director, slash writer. She's amazing. We worked before about a year and a half prior, I believe. And my role was very small, at least, it was small. I like to say like there are no small roles, only small actors,
yeah.
but it was a small role in the grand scheme of the project.
Mm.
I was there for like maybe 30 seconds. My role was the man with the box. I didn't even have a name, and it was, just a fun role. And at the end of the day, like, Joy was very friendly. We like had very good conversation, and that was meant to be it. And then a year and a half later, I saw a project she posted about, and um this like specific project, it's what is centered about race and
Mm.
the war and things like that. Usually, like, I won't say I stay away from roles like that. I don't, but
Mm.
usually I don't, being that I'm not American, innately. I feel like I don't, I won't say like I don't have a say in stuff like that, but I feel like I'm
Yeah.
not like the best person to portray roles like that. But I just applied because I knew Joy and I liked what I read so far about the story. And she sent me an audition and she required me to do an accent. And at that point, I was not very good at doing accents. So I was like, you know what? Why not? So I tried it and she liked it. And she set it up and the rest, I guess.
Yeah. I love that trajectory where you go from Man from Box into this pretty epic film.
Yeah.
You're carrying a lot of weight in the film. And I always say, well, that you never know what you're going to meet on each set. And it can be something really small, or you think you aren't integral, but it's the relationships that you build from that. Because when you're on set, it can be 10 to 12 to 15 hours. You want to like and trust the
Yeah.
people that you're on set with. So, one good conversation can solidify a really beautiful project in the future, as long
For
as
sure.
open and willing to participate. So lovely.
100%.
So you're not American and I'm not either. So this was not a piece of history I was actually aware of freed slaves joining the Union Army and those really uncomfortable dynamics that come from that. So why did you think it was important to tell this story? Or why do you think this story is so resonant today? Why did Joy feel it was important to put out there in the world?
Why do I think it was important to tell the story? I think it was important to tell the story because it gave a different perspective of the whole. I mean, like there were whatever is usually depicted in Hollywood for like slaves. I feel like it's always like one way, but this character was a little bit more. There was more layers to him, you know. He
Mhm.
didn't come out like this. I don't know if I can like use like cuss words on here, so I will not. But but he didn't come out as this like, necessarily tough character. He was actually very like scared the entire time, you know. And I
Yeah.
feel like there there were people who felt like that, you know. There were people who were like even when freed, they didn't feel free, you know. And I felt like this was the story for the majority of the film until he finally overcame. This was a story of overcoming, which is something that most people go through even today in different ways of their lives. So
Mhm.
I felt like it was important to tell it from a different perspective than is usually portrayed in Hollywood.
Yeah, I think that's what made it a really unexpected project because not only are we seeing the history from a different perspective, but it's a very relatable character for anybody in that position. So we've got this really, yeah, beguiling historical moment. Someone's a slave, and then they fight for their own freedom. They get freed, and then they decide to fight for everyone's freedom, yet there's still the same oppression from it. So
Yeah.
weighty role for you. There's a lot. It's kind of a roller coaster to try to dig into. I'm assuming that might have been a little bit daunting. How did you step into this role? How did you find this character?
Um, hmm, how I found this character. So whenever I got this role, I was not the actor I am today. I am a lot more uh I'll say I'm a better actor today, because I've learned how to separate what's going on in the film and what's going on in my regular life, To get ready for the character, I was just not happy the days leading up to like I put myself in a very bad place.
Yeah.
And I don't know if there's any footage of it, but when I got to set that day, I was not a social person. Like I just was like, this is what my life is. And, you know, I think it helped bring the performance to life, but I also felt like it was not the way I would want to keep, moving forward. Because like you said, it's heavy stuff,
Yeah.
and sometimes like stuff doesn't leave you, sometimes it stays with you. And I definitely want to be careful of that so I could have a long career and not.
Yeah. It's something that I don't think people talk about enough, where
No,
you really have to put yourself into that place and empathize with this person. And the lines get blurred sometimes between
for sure.
what's real and what's the story.
For
What
sure.
would you say for actors who are taking on roles like this? How have you found now in your process? How would you separate those or look after yourself in a more sustainable way?
I feel like the more you work on your craft, the easier it becomes to separate the two, because I
Mhm.
feel like that's a shortcut that a lot of actors take. Um, it's a shortcut because it's easier to just be that way all the time. So when they say action, you're right there. But if you work on your craft, you get in that moment you need to get into, and then your dog comes over and you pet your dog because like it's a cute dog, and you love your dog. It's
Yeah.
like it doesn't keep you stuck there. So I just feel like working on your craft constantly, which is something my acting coach like he hounds. He's like, you do it 25 times and you do it another 75 times, and that's how you get ready for a role. Because by
Yeah.
then, you understand the character, you have more choices to work with when it comes to like, portraying the role versus having to stick with, okay, I'm gonna be sad. So like when people see me on camera, I look sad and they believe that I'm sad. So it's doing the work that needs to be done to get yourself to a level where you don't have to depend on those things because those things are in a wig. They could be crutches,
Yeah.
crutches that you're leaning on the movie, but then also that don't leave you after the movie.
Yeah. And then you could be a nightmare to the people around you.
100%. I
You
was
hear about
so,
all the like method
yeah,
techniques that some actors use, and the people around them don't seem to enjoy it
yeah.
so much.
I was trying to be very careful that day too, because like people were trying to like be friendly to me and stuff, and I was just not. I wasn't like mean to anybody, but I wasn't myself, and I
Yeah.
noticed it at some point. And towards the end, which was where we did the heavier scene of, the whipping at the start of the movie,
Yeah.
they were trying to be friendly and I was like fighting the urge to like, I was like, I don't want to talk to you right now. I'm busy, so
We're going to be jumping right into you abusing me. So
yes,
I think there's
basically.
that fine line, right, about being present, but also, like you said, once you know your craft and you know your instrument, you know what you need to do for it. So I think this is quite a daunting project for you to have to figure that out, but what
Mhm.
a blessing to be able to move forward and say, you know what? You got a great performance out of it. So it clearly worked,
It
but
worked
it's you want a yeah, sustainable career after this. So
for sure.
was there any in terms of the filming process, were there any surprises throughout? Was there any favorite particular scenes to film or ones that turned out to be more challenging than you'd assume?
I worked on the script for a while before we shot, so I won't say like there was anything particularly challenging,
Yeah.
but I was definitely curious about the whipping scene, how it was going to be, implement. I knew what the scene was going to be, but I was like curious about how it was going to be implemented into the film. And I'd say like it was very interesting to me how Joy used like the that scene and then like the footage of like I just love how she mixed like the film we shot with like history pieces. Like I just thought it was very beautiful, to see
Yeah.
it put together.
It was really effective, especially because it drove home the point that this is real.
Hmm.
So that people, sometimes audiences, when we get into historical pieces, we kind of like back away. They're like, that was back then. But it's nice to know like this was real. And
Yeah,
yeah, you can't distance yourself too much from it.
definitely.
What was your reaction to seeing the film?
Well, it was my first time seeing myself on the big screen, so I had a big smile on my face the entire time.
Yeah.
That was my reaction. But it was also kind of like shocking to see myself. I definitely watch myself, in projects I do because like I have to most times. But as a creative, I also don't like to because I criticize so much of like my choices and my actions and things like that.
Yeah.
But I will say that for the most part, I just watched it and I tried to forget the fact that it was me up there. I just tried to just enjoy the piece of art in front of me. And um, I will say that I think effectively the story was told, and I was happy about that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's hard to separate yourself from the work sometimes, especially when
It's sure.
a newer thing um in your journey. You're yeah, it's totally a different thing. I even heard Johnny Depp doesn't watch any of his films.
It's
So
hard. It's really hard.
hard. It can be a great learning tool, but I think that's amazing that you found the ability to separate and just watch the art for what it is. And it's great
Hmm.
to have those connections with the people making it because you're just
Yeah.
excited for them in
Yeah.
in their choices. How have audiences responded to the film? Have you got any feedback?
So we put the film in a festival, and it was a lot of positive response. I won an award, actually, my first award.
Amazing.
And yeah, so now I call myself an award-winning actor. I
As you
put that
are?
on my resume. I am, yeah. So I won an award for that. I had to give a speech. I didn't even prepare. I just show up and they're like, "Here you go, give a speech." And I'm like, and I just say whatever comes to my mind. Um, and then there were like a lot of like I guess reviews from people from the festival, and they seemed positive. I posted a little clip on my Instagram. A lot of people, they loved it. Sometimes I go out, people see me, oh, like, oh yeah, I saw your thing with the Confederate outfit, or I'm like, yeah, yeah, and like they seem to be digging it, so that's good.
That's really cool. That's
Yeah.
cool. Now, this is just the start for you, obviously. Now you're award-winning actor. What
I'm just saying.
what's next on the horizon? What's your any projects you're excited about? Any specific goals that you're looking towards?
So I just wrapped a feature, my first feature, where I was also playing the lead actor.
So,
Um, so amazing. I just wrapped that about 2 weeks ago, and it's in a similar lens. I don't know how much I can talk about it.
yeah,
I think this would be amazing promo for the movie, but with the NDAs and everything, I'm trying to be careful. I don't want my director to get mad at me.
wise.
But yeah, but it's a similar thing about, a guy overcoming. This is more related to faith
Mm,
versus, what happened with slavery and everything. So it's definitely a very powerful story. It has lots of twists and turns. Uh, I think I mean, to date, this is, the biggest project I've done. And I mean, who doesn't love being number one on the call sheet? Um, so I'm definitely looking forward to seeing how that, all turns out. We're
yeah,
hoping to get the first trailer out by October and then, start pushing for festivals. So I'm definitely excited about that. And anything else I'm excited for. I just want to work, I enjoy acting so much.
yeah,
It's definitely something that I never saw myself doing. It's very like the nerves are just crazy when
yeah.
you start. I'm a shy person. I know I don't seem it because like
No,
I'm
you
just
don't.
whispering. I'm just talking blah blah blah, but I'm a very shy person. Like I get so much anxiety, like I can like start physically shaking sometimes,
Yeah,
because yeah, it's really bad. But I've always said to myself, I'm gonna be dead one day and none of this is going to matter. So I want to just live a life worth living. So I do things that I'm uncomfortable with. If I see like there's, oh, come out and do a monologue. Oh God, these people are going to judge me. Well, they're going to have to judge me after I do my monologue and I go up
yeah,
and I do it. So I'm very excited to just like, get more opportunities. I'm grateful for everyone I got. I don't take anything for granted. Like I said, no small roles, just small actors.
yeah. I love that. And okay, so that's really neat that on this latest project, you got to infuse your music into your role. Do you think that music is still going to be something that's going to be on the horizon for you?
You said the latest project? Which project?
When you talked about that you were rapping in the project.
I think I said we wrapped the project.
Just
Wrapped, sorry.
maybe I was envisioning something. Maybe I'm clairvoyant and I'm
Yeah, hey,
seeing a
maybe.
project in your future. Okay, just
Hey,
wrapped it.
amen. I'll take that. Uh, I
Maybe
would
that's
regarding music. Music is still a very big part of my life. I also model as well now, but
cool.
yeah, music, I never, that's my first love. I just don't have it in me to ever let it go. And I've improved dramatically too, because like the responses are good. I just dropped a new song actually a couple, 3 days ago, and there's been positive responses all around. So I'm happy for that.
That's awesome. Well,
Yeah.
it's so inspiring. I love hearing this kind of full circle journey. And it's just marked with a lot of bravery, is what I hear. And I think there's going to be a lot in the future for you. And hopefully, we'll get to chat about this new project too. Maybe it'll
I
be at
hope
the
so.
Sound Festival and we can get to chat again because I am very intrigued.
I mean,
Like the
we
fact
have
there's no rapping in it, I'll still interview about it.
we have each other's information, so I would love to definitely chat about it because I think this would be good for the project. It's a very good project, it's an important project too.
Mm,
Something that like happened that was kind of like thrown under the rug because of it was uncomfortable to talk about.
yeah.
And this director was like, no, it should be talked about. So he got with the people involved with it, got their permission, their blessing, and he made honestly like a masterpiece, something that I'm proud to have my name on and proud that I was able to play because like even my character wasn't okay, he was part of it, but he's more like on the outside, but the director just made it like so like seamless. It's just I'm really excited to talk about it. I just don't know if I can, but I'm really excited to talk about it.
In October. In
That's
October.
over. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I just feel like this conversation, there's so much about finding the uncomfortable space and doing it anyway. So I think that's a really lovely trajectory that you're on in both the projects that you're choosing to dive into. And in picking up and going to LA and doing the hard thing anyway. So good for you.
Yeah.
That's
Thank
awesome.
you.
Really
Thank you.
appreciate you joining me today and
Thank you for having me.
looking forward to hearing more in the future.
Definitely.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.